you guys know who's talking first? Let's say his name together, now that we know. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, who still said Amin? All right, well, regardless, here he is, the man himself, Dr. G.
Thank you. She already asked you how you're doing, but how are you doing? Let me hear it. Everybody excited about this on the screen? Yeah? I'm pumped. I'm very pumped about that, and we appreciate everybody who signed up, and we had over 100, if you didn't hear last night, over 100 people registered within the first hour, which is unbelievable. So really appreciate it. So thank you. Oops. So how many people here want their businesses to fail this year? What are you doing? Put your hand down. Nobody wants their business to fail. So today what I'm going to talk to you guys about is 5 ways to grow your practice. Now, please remember, there are numerous ways to grow your practice. But I'm going to go over these 5 fundamental things that I think you can use this year, starting now, to help grow your practice, even post-COVID. Now, the reason why I do these talks is because I'm very passionate about audiology. I subjectively will tell you that I'm the most passionate audiologist in the world. I hope each of you are probably thinking, no, I'm the most passionate audiologist in the world. But to me, that's my passion. And part of my passion is watching my friends and colleagues get success. So impromptu here, I'm going to pick on Jason. Jason, if you guys didn't know, Jason Landecker was my student when he was in his AD program. Now he is the largest private practice group in the state of Minnesota. Congratulations, Jason. I have nothing to do with that, but I'm so proud of him, and it just makes me feel so good to see how much he's grown. So that's what I love, and it fills my heart, fills my soul to know that I've helped somebody, personally, professionally, financially, whatever it is. It just makes me feel good. So today I want to help any of you. So some of you may be at a point where, you know, we're just not growing, we're flat, or we're actually getting worse, we don't know what we're going to do. So hopefully these techniques will help. Now, if you're passionate about what you do, and you love what you do, nobody can crush us. If you love what you do, nobody can crush you. Do you guys agree with that statement or not? Yeah. Yes. If you love what you do, nobody can crush us. Because there's nobody that has more passion than that. There's no Costco employee who has more passion than you. There's no third-party administrator, operator who's going to send their patients out to somebody's clinic that has more passion than we do. We do. And I would also argue that private practitioners have the most love and care for our patients because we don't work in a hospital or another setting where we just get fed patients. If we don't take care of our patients, our businesses suffer. So I will argue that we are the most passionate for audiology, for our patients, and we are the ones that are going to succeed, okay, even during this crisis. So before I get into these 5 things, I want to go over one little point because I know some of you might be thinking, well, yeah, but I'm on stage, I do a lot of things online, I do a lot of talks, and so maybe I'm a little bit more outgoing and overt. The reality is I wasn't always like this. So if you'll bear with me for a second, I want to tell you a very brief story where I wasn't like this back years ago. So back in 2007, we had this opportunity. I was living in Phoenix. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. And we had this opportunity to join and eventually purchase a practice outside of Portland, Oregon, in Vancouver, Washington. So we dropped everything and moved up to Vancouver, Washington. I know you're thinking, Canada? No, not Canada, Vancouver, Washington. It's 10 minutes from downtown Portland. We had nothing, so we started there, and the goal was low salary, high commission. The practice had 7 people, 3 audiologists, 4 staff, very heavy staff-driven. Expenses were very high. So when I came on board, practice was doing pretty good. If you look at the number itself, the gross revenue, not bad. Well, with the commission, and I know there's questions about commission versus bonuses, that's just the way we did it. So let's move on. So the idea is that my salary really wasn't that high because I knew that I could take care of patients and sell hearing aids. Well, the owners, and I'm not saying anything negative about the owners, but they started crossing off certain hearing aids that I had sold, saying, well, that was a family friend, or they live nearby, that doesn't count. So there was one quarter where I didn't get paid my commission because I didn't hit my minimum. Well, one day I get a call. Charmy, who you guys saw in the video yesterday, calls me. She says, I'm at Trader Joe's, the credit card declined. I'm like, do you have any cash? She's like, I have no cash on me. So I told her, tell the teller, you're going to go to your car and grab another credit card, but then go home because we have no money. We were flat broke. And this is 2 years after I joined that practice. Now, for me personally, that sucked, right? I mean, you can imagine if you're at rock bottom, where you have no money, you don't know how you're gonna take care of your family. My daughter was like 3 years old. I mean, talk about depression. That day sucked, but that day was pivotal for me because I realized I gotta change this and I have to do something about it. So instead of waiting 5 years to start the transition process, I started finding out how can I take over this practice now. So in 2012, we bought the practice. Those 6 other staff people, wiped them all out, added 1 staff person up front. I was the provider, Charmy ran the business. 3 of us, we tripled the gross revenue of that practice in 4 years. Gross revenue, okay? Profitability was up. We turned that practice around. And the way we did it was using a lot of these techniques today. So mindset is a big thing. We're gonna talk about that today as well. But really understanding that if you're in a position right now, and I know a lot of people are, I just read somebody's post this morning that they had to shut their practice down. If you're at a point where you're hitting a wall, let's work on that. So let's focus on these things today. So I'm gonna go over these 5 things and then we'll go over a summary, okay? And if we have time, we'll do Q&A, but we're gonna keep rolling today. So today's a little different than yesterday in the sense that we're gonna hammer out 3 really fast talks here, hour each. Then lunch, we're gonna do another talk with Natalie in the afternoon, and then we're gonna do breakouts. And then the very final thing we're gonna do is a kind of a send-off. We're gonna do that in the exhibit hall. So at 4 o'clock, don't come back in here. We're gonna go over there and we're gonna do all the raffle prizes. Did you guys see all the raffles? Yeah. Whew. I'm crossing my fingers for that Louis Vuitton. I'm a guy and I'm like, I know my wife would love that. Never full, is that right? Did I say it right? Oh man, I'm on top of it. Okay, number 1. How many people here have heard of SMART goals? Raise your hands. Very good. You guys have probably seen me post about SMART goals. I talk about it all the time. I know the word up there says SMARTEAR, I'll get to that. SMART goals is a very fancy acronym, and it's a very nice acronym because it is smart, but it's also SMART, SMART. So if I'm gonna plan on making a goal, if I'm gonna do some goal setting, I'm not gonna just say, I'm gonna grow. Is saying I'm gonna grow or I wanna grow, is that a SMART goal? No. It's not smart because a goal without a plan is just a wish. Very good. Who said that? Oh, of course, Whitney Swan. A goal without a plan is just a wish. So we use what we call SMART goals. So SMART. S stands for specific. When you're planning and you're goal setting, you want to be as specific as possible. And I don't mean writing out 5 pages. You can. But I mean, instead of saying I want to grow my practice, talk about how you're going to do it. I'm going to grow my practice by increasing my physician relationship building, doing 2 ed seminars, probably virtually now, and maybe a newspaper ad. Okay, so put that in. Be very specific on how you're going to do that. Maybe not those 3, but you get my point. So S is specific. The next one, M, is measurable. Why is this not clicking? There we go. Maybe I need Al Turi up here to move my slides forward. Measurable. Measurable is really using the tools that you have available to you to decide, did you hit your goal? How do you know you hit your goal? If I say I want to grow, how do I know I grew? Well, obviously, we're going to look at our numbers. Well, Eric, he's in the back there. The HereWorks has a great tool for tracking your KPIs, right? How many people here use KPIs? How many people here don't know what KPIs are? And it's okay if you don't. Good. Key performance indicators. You track what you're doing. So you can use KPIs, you can use your profit and loss statements. I don't encourage you to use your tax records, but you could, okay? So anything that can measure how you are reaching your goals is what you want to use, and you want to put that into your goal setting as well. I want to grow my practice by checking it with my profit and loss statements every month. Okay, that's a good way to measure your goals. The next one is attainable. So the attainable is kind of neat because especially during COVID, we can't go out and do ed seminars and it's harder to get into some offices. If I said in March or April, I'm gonna go visit 30 physicians in the next 2 months, probably not an attainable goal because of the pandemic. So is your goal attainable? And related to that, we talk about R, which is realistic. Now, I used to say relevant, and about 3 or 4 months ago, I changed it to realistic, and then I read Natalie Phillips's book. Natalie, can you raise your hand? She's gonna talk later today. She wrote a book, and the funniest thing is they also wrote realistic, and I was like, oh my God, I also change it realistic. Are your goals realistic? If your practice is generating about $750,000 a year, don't say you're going to make $5 million next year. That probably won't happen. If it did, you come on stage and tell us how you did it, okay? So realistic goals are extremely important. Don't set goals to fail, but it's okay to fail because failing is learning. But set realistic goals. If you're doing 750,000, maybe you can get to $1 million, or maybe $1 million too, right? Set realistic goals. And the last one, I keep changing this term, but time-bound. Create a time frame, okay? Timely, time-bound, whatever. Create a time frame. So a good SMART goal, actually, no, let's do this. Raise your hands if you're using SMART goals now. You know what's coming next. Julie, Link, can you go to the mic and share your SMART goals or an example of a good SMART goal? Thank you for volunteering.
Reminder not to lick the mic.
Oh yes, don't lick the mic.
I think I've got it covered. July 5th, I decided I was going to lose 40-something pounds, so I lost 19, so 2 per week. So I've got 23 left, and yeah, I'm sticking to it. So it's specific in the amount. It's measurable each week.
Yep.
It's attainable, looking at the research, realistic, and it's time-bound.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you so much, Julie. That's a great SMART goal. Okay? So if I was going to use something similar with our practices, I would say, I want to grow my practice by 30% by increasing my physician relationships, by going out and doing activities I haven't done and measuring it monthly for the next 6 months. That would be a decent SMART goal. Okay, I just made that up on the fly, sorry, but that is similar, okay? So that's your SMART goal. So knowing me, I wanted to throw EAR in there somewhere. Now, I heard somebody in a talk, and they were talking about SMART, and then they said SMARTER, and I was like, oh, SMARTER, that's really smart. And I thought, wait, SMARTER, what can I put in as an A? So actually, I threw in the EAR. So that's what the EAR is. So let's dive into what the EAR is. So E stands for evaluate. When you are in this process, when you are goal setting and going through this process of trying to hit your goals, keep evaluating where you are. Because if you're on this trajectory going this way, but you really want to go this way, you need to pivot. So you don't just start your goal and say, okay, here we go, and then end up at the end saying, oh, I totally could have done that 3 months ago. So periodically evaluate, set your time frames. Every month I'm going to check to make sure we're on track to hit our goals. The A is accountability. You've probably heard me talk about accountability a lot. In fact, even last night at dinner I was talking about accountability. The reality is, if you don't hit your goals, the buck stops here. If your staff screwed up, for whatever reason, don't blame your staff. You can still talk to them and teach. It's a teachable moment. But maybe you didn't teach them properly. Accountability is very tough because a lot of people think, well, it was really their fault, not mine. Well, how is it their fault? Well, they didn't do something. Well, why didn't they do it? Well, I didn't really tell them exactly how to do it. I expected them to do it. Well, that's accountability. Take accountability during this process because the reality is some of our goals we may not hit. Just learn from it, take accountability, let the team know that you're taking accountability. Have you guys read the book Leaders Eat Last? Anybody? Yeah? Leaders Eat Last because totally accountable, okay? And the R, of course, is the fun part, the reward. So when you hit the goals, when you hit those goals, it's a team reward. When the team wins, we win, right? If the team wins, we win. If our providers are hitting their commission goals, that means we're winning. Because if they're not hitting their goals, that means the business is suffering. So when you're rewarding, when you do your reward, make sure everyone's part of that reward and let them know. So here, my friends, is our SMARTEAR goals. You like that? I started watching PowerPoint videos on YouTube, and I'm really enjoying my work here. I hope you guys can appreciate it, including this little thing, too. So the next segment, I hope you guys got that. So the next one is going to be about videos. How many people here are currently making videos for your practice? I know, Cliff's not raising his hand, so that's... Do you know that every minute, 500 hours of content are uploaded to YouTube? 500 hours of content are uploaded to YouTube every minute. 200 of those hours are Cliff. 500 hours every minute. I'm teasing. Yeah, it's actually, give credit to Ashley, actually. Yeah, Ashley. So if you're not doing videos, raise your hands again. Are you making videos? Everyone look around. Those that are making videos, if you're not making videos, look at all the people that are making videos. So if you're not making videos for your office, your competition definitely is. In this day and age, video content is driving marketing and other things, okay? So you can set up a studio like this in your office, a bunch of lights, a good backdrop, big camera. I'm kidding. You don't have to do any of this, okay? Because I'm going to assume we all have something like this. Probably not as awesome as mine, but it's okay, all you non-Apple users. I'm going to assume everybody here has a smartphone with a camera. Just for fun. Anybody not have a smartphone with a camera? I'm just curious. Okay, good. We can all make videos. So I want you to think about why you're not making videos. Is there a fear that you're going to be on camera? Is it that nobody's going to watch your video? Is it that you don't like watching yourself on video? You don't like hearing your own voice on video? April? Is it, I'm picking on her, she said it this morning that she watched her, yeah. So the reality is, in fact, sidebar, last night we were talking at dinner, there's a podcast. How many of you like Tony Robbins? I follow Tony Robbins. We were talking yesterday, and our good friend Stacy here in the front row was talking about a podcast about fear. Download that podcast. It is one of the best episodes you'll hear. It's about fear and overcoming fear, okay? Because we have to overcome our fear of being on video, on camera. Truth be told, I don't like watching myself either. When I did that video for Cliff, I did it in one take in the morning before my patients came in, and I just quickly emailed it over. Because I was like, I don't even want to watch it. I hope it's good. Then I watched this, and I was like, oh, that wasn't good. Okay, anyways, doesn't matter. At least I put up the little Biff picture in the background. So where are you going to post these videos? You can post them to YouTube. Okay? I'm not saying that we all have to be like Cliff, but he's been tremendously successful. Probably the most successful in our profession ever, right? In videos. Facebook, you can go right to Facebook. You can do that from your Facebook page, your clinic page, your business page. You can do it on your personal page. LinkedIn, how many people here are not on LinkedIn? Not on LinkedIn. Why not LinkedIn? LinkedIn is now more social media and education focused versus looking for a job. So if you're not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn. I know Becky's on LinkedIn. I know a few of us are on LinkedIn and we're fairly active. Instagram, we are actually, Jane and I are actually working on our Instagram page for our business because we actually didn't have one. And so Instagram's a great place to share your content. TikTok's a funny one, but it's still legal. One of our odd bosses in Canada, Chantel, has like hundreds of thousands of viewers of her irrigating ears with the irrigator. Hundreds of thousands, okay? People are asking her, where can I go to get this done? It's videos. And TikTok, you know, or you can do your dances too. Actually, I had some music earlier, but I'm not going to do it on stage here. But the idea is that you can do that. But I caution on TikTok, it's not, you know, a lot of our patients aren't really on TikTok, but use it as you need to. You can put it on your website. You can have links to videos on your website. What about email marketing? You do newsletters to your patients on your emails, you can send videos. Closed caption, of course, caption everything. So let me see everyone's phones. Everyone take your phones out, hold them up, please. Okay, I'm going to pick on whoever doesn't. Dan. Okay, we're going to do something fun. I want everyone to open your cameras. We're going to spend the next minute to 2 minutes. You guys are all going to take a video of yourselves. Now, there are numerous ways you can do this. You can post it on, you can do a Facebook Live on AudBoss if you want. You can go Facebook Live on your website, or excuse me, your business Facebook page. Wherever you want. I want you guys to introduce yourself, tell them where you are, what you're doing, and then submit it. Let's get over this fear right now, okay? Go. Come on, guys. Hey guys, what's up? I'm actually here at the AudBoss 2020 conference with some of my closest AudBoss friends. And we are talking about making videos for social media, and you'll see the sites behind me. And watch, look at all these odd bosses taking videos as we speak. Socially distancing, following all the guidelines. We hope to see you next year, guys.
My hands are sweaty. I did it. My hands are sweaty.
What's up, guys? I'm here at the AudBoss 2020 Summit. I'm Dr.Gosalia. I'm here with a whole bunch of odd bosses who are taking videos of themselves, posting them on Facebook. Take a look at them. Hey, guys. Awesome. That's how easy it can be. How hard was that, besides Jason's sweaty hands? Was that the first time somebody's done that? Yeah? Jason, that was your first time doing it? How was the experience? Liberating. Very good. So it's very easy to do, guys. You don't have to do 1-hour videos. This was one of my hurdles in the beginning. I thought, what am I going to do for like 30 minutes on a video? You don't have to do that. You can do 30-second videos. You can do 1-minute videos. If you really want to be successful, I know that there's a lot of metrics with some of these channels. You can ask Cliff about that, but somewhere around 10 minutes, I think, is one of those metrics they like to look at. So even if it's a 10-minute video, someone will watch a 10-minute video. Sometimes I cringe when I want to watch a video and I see it's like an hour long. I'm like, oh, do I have an hour to watch this? But I'll watch a 30-second, I'll watch a 5-minute video, right? Who's going to watch this? Your patients will probably watch it, and if your patients aren't watching it, they're at least telling somebody else. Even if you put it out there and nobody's watching it, don't worry about it. You're stacking your content eventually. When it starts picking up, people will start to go back and watch your previous stuff. Start making videos if you're not doing it, and make a schedule, okay? Maybe one a week or one a month or whatever schedule you want to set. Be consistent, keep a consistent theme. I'm guilty of not keeping it consistent because I start thinking of crazy ideas and I just do it impulsively. Well, make a plan. Sometimes you can batch. You can take, if you just set a day to do a bunch of videos, do a bunch of videos and schedule them out. It's not hard, okay? So start doing that. This is a great way to grow your practice, guys. The third one, work-life balance. During those 4 years when I was up in Vancouver, Washington, my work-life balance sucked because I was the only provider. I was doing my own billing. I was, helping Charm with marketing, and I was also going out to events with, all the networking stuff I was doing. I mean, I was working from 7 a.m. to sometimes midnight, 1 a.m. in the office. I'd go home, sleep, come back. My physical health deteriorated. I was drinking every night when I was doing all the billing. I started putting more and more beer in the office, I was like, oh, well, I'll probably have 2 or 3 beers tonight while I'm doing my billing. Very accurate billing, too, by the way. So the idea is that my physical health suffered, and as time went on, my mental health probably wasn't 100% either. Living in Vancouver, we've got seasonal affect disorder, start throwing that in, and it just all starts kind of tumbling together, and your patients start to notice it. Your patients start to notice it because your mental health is related to your business health. And I feel very strongly about this. If you're not 100% with your mindset and your mentality and your physical health, your patients see it, your staff feel it, and if your staff feel, they see you depressed and you're not doing well, it radiates and they start to get affected too. And now they don't answer the phone call the same way. You've heard people say when you answer the phone, smile, so it sounds like you're happy. Sometimes it starts sounding like, yeah, I'm really happy. Yeah, so mental health is so important, and really making sure, and I'll say this, so I know that if I didn't spend all that time in that practice, I don't know how successful we would have been. But there's a side of it that maybe I could have just hired one other person to take a big load off, and then I could spend more time with the family. So you really want to balance this out. Our friend Craig Casper from New York has I watched the video, I'm going to watch it again. It's on Zen and really kind of focusing on yourself and breath work. And when you go on the portal, I've seen numerous comments on Facebook already about his talk. Really dive into that. I spend about 15 or 20 minutes really just sitting there quietly and just thinking and really focusing on myself and focusing on how the day is going to go. And it really helps. And I don't stay till, Jane, we don't stay past 6 or 7 anymore, right? Never. I think the latest was probably 7 one night. We've really changed, and I think we've been very successful doing that. Big shout out to Jane in the back row there, but 2001 in Los Angeles, female-owned business. She's doing great. Thank you, Jane. So work-life balance, really focus on that. Spend time with your family and friends. Do the things you love. Because at some point in our life, you've heard this from our patients. I wish I would have done that when I could have done it. Now I can't go, water skiing like Eric, because my knees are bad because I'm 65 years old now. He's not 65. Okay. I talk about philanthropy all the time. You guys have heard me talk about giving back. The reality, you guys, is why are we talking about philanthropy when we're talking about business growth? Stacy and Judy are going to talk later on today about how to grow your practices using this. I want to talk about how I've done it, and hopefully this can help you too. Back in 2012, when I bought the practice, I had a bunch of ideas. Now, I grew up in a physician family. My father's a retired cardiologist, my younger brother's a radiologist, my cousins are all physicians. All their friends are physicians, because physicians hang out with physicians. So I started asking them, I was like, what do you like? They're like, well, we do a lot of giving back to the communities. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Well, I grew up volunteering. Since I was 6 years old, I've been volunteering. Back then, I was giving my time. Now I don't have time, so I give my money. So you can give time, or you can give money. My thing about philanthropy is there's a book called Go Giver. And if you haven't read, you've heard Go Getter, right? Somebody's a Go Getter. Go Givers is a great book. So make sure you take the opportunity to read that book. The thing about philanthropy is if you look up in your local communities, and if you just look up your hospital, if there's a hospital in your community, they might have a nonprofit foundation. If they have a foundation at that hospital, who's on that foundation board? Physicians. Physicians are on those boards. And doctors, and I separate those. I'm very sticky about physicians versus doctors. Physicians are on those boards. Hospital administrators are on that board. We're always talking about physicians, and I'm going to talk about physicians next. Sorry, spoiler alert. I'm going to talk about physicians next, but when we're talking about growing our practices, physicians, we're always trying to do these out-of-the-box crazy ideas with physicians, but the reality is if you're on a board, they know that you're a good person. I hope you're a good person. Don't be in philanthropy to make money. Don't do it thinking you're going to get a direct ROI because you're going to help an organization out. Do it because it's good. It's good work. But I believe in karma. And I believe that when you give to the community, it comes back tenfold. So I do these things with no expectations except I want to do good to the community, for the community. And by doing that, I get not only my name, but my clinic name. Because now I attach, when I was in my own practice, I attached our clinic name, which was a very simple name, audiologyclinic.com back then. How great was that? Audiologyclinic.com. Now I would attach it everywhere. So in this small town of Vancouver, Washington, and then finally bled into Portland, everybody, not 100%, everybody knew what audiology was. We're always bitching and moaning that nobody knows what audiology is. Yeah, they did, because we were out there in the community. There's two types of philanthropic endeavors. And I know there's more, but I always group them into two. There's needs-based organizations, and there's community-based organizations. So let me start with the community-based. Community-based is like, we need a new library, okay? Or we need a new building here. Or we want to redo the field so kids can go out and play baseball or soccer or whatever it is you guys are fighting with the city on. The idea is that those are community-based organizations. Great stuff if you want to get the word out about who you are and just be a good community human being. I recommend 10%, maybe 15% of your efforts there. The other 85 to 90% into needs-based organizations. Hungry children. Women who have survived breast cancer and now they're depressed or considering suicide because their mental health has gone down and their partners don't understand what they've gone through. Pink Lemonade Project, I was on the board. What else? Cancer, you get it, medical-based things that you can be part of. So you help this community out. What are you going to offer? You can offer money, of course. When you offer these organizations money, I don't believe in just having my name and they're like, oh, and thanks for giving us $500. I like to be more involved in it. I want to see what can I do to help this organization out. So I'm going to give you 3 examples, okay? So the first one in Vancouver, there was a young man, so we were at this networking event, and it was in a bar. So I'm running around talking to everybody, and I see this kid off to the side. He wasn't in the bar. So I go over and I said, hey, what's going on? He was like, oh, I'm a 19-year-old guy, and he's got vision issues, like severe vision issues. So I said, so why are you here? He's like, oh, I'm thinking about starting this nonprofit organization for blind children. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Why? He goes, well, number one, I've got vision issues, and there's a high obesity rate for blind kids. I'm like, why? What are you talking about? I was like, I don't know anything about that. And he said, yeah, because they can't go on exercise. Now, granted, they can be in a gym and ride a stationary bike, or they can do certain things, but they can't get out. If you guys exercise, you know that when you're outdoors exercising versus in a gym, there's a little bit of a difference. So I said, well, what do you need? He said, well, you need more people to know about it, need some money, and we want to do a gala to get more people involved. So I didn't have time at the time because I was working my ass off doing all these other things. So I said, well, I can connect you with people, and I want to be a part of it. So I was on the inaugural board. Eyes and ears are pretty related, right? So I said, well, I want to do free hearing testing for anybody who's part of this, because then you guys rely on your hearing. He's like, absolutely. If my hearing goes down when I have a cold, I'm kind of in the dark. That's a bad example. I'm sorry. They're isolated. Okay. So the idea is that I use that as kind of a way to help him. I actually was very passionate about what he was doing. So if you ever fly into Portland, Oregon, in the airport there's a restaurant called Beaches, and it's a very big restaurant there in Vancouver. And the owner was a buddy of mine, Mark Matthias. And I told him about it. I was like, hey, there's this kid, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I'm in. What do I got to do? He's the head of the board. Every gala, he's the guy on stage doing it. You guys have seen my Dallas Cowboys cheerleader outfit picture? You guys haven't seen it? Okay, no, I'm not sharing it anymore. But they basically use that as an auction item. And they were talking about, they were on stage, like, how many people have here had your hearing tested? And it was a surprise to me. And I'm like, what, hearing tested? It's like, who else is here? And they pull out this, I lost a bet. Okay, I'm a Denver Broncos fan, so I lost a bet. And so they had photoshopped this thing, and they auctioned it off. $2,500 someone paid for my cutout. It was my head with the cowboy cheerleader outfit. Hearing testing on stage in front of 500 people, and we're all laughing because we all enjoyed the experience. I wasn't laughing at first, but then I was like, oh, no, I should roll with this. Because I was a respected member of the community. No, okay, so the idea there is we grew it, everybody knew, but I didn't want to just have my name on the side again. So I said, you know what I want to do? I want one of those photo booths, and we'll hire the camera person to take the pictures, and then we print out the pictures. What's going to be on those pictures? My clinic logo and name. Where do people put those pictures? On their fridge. Every day they walk by, they see that picture with my logo on it. Where else do they share that picture? Social media. It just spreads like wildfire. And every picture has my logo with our phone number on it. That was the simplest way. I wanted to help the kid, and it just grew from there. Another organization, I put a picture here. I think some of you have seen this. Face Forward International is an organization I'm part of. We actually help acid attack survivors. I had another picture. I took it down because you can see her picture there, but I had another zoomed-in picture, but I realized some people may not have the stomach for it. Chenda, she's actually from Cambodia. On the top right corner there, you'll see where I'm standing there. There was a guy that was making some advances towards, he's a coworker. She was saying no. One day she gets on her scooter with her 3-year-old daughter. He comes over with a bunch of acid and throws it on her. Her face is melted, one ear is completely gone, all over her body. Even worse was her daughter. There's patches of skin that were also melted, and as you're growing, that skin does not grow, nonstop pain for her. Chenda has a hearing loss. So one ear is completely gone. One pin is gone. The other side is a normal-looking ear. So we decided that Jane and I actually were both involved in this. We actually decided we were going to just donate a hearing aid for her on the one ear. We can't do the other ear. While we're there, and I put the hearing aid on her, she has a moderate to severe loss. Her daughter and the interpreter were behind her giggling about something, and she goes, "What are you guys laughing about?" And the daughter goes, they just stopped in their tracks, like, in their language, I couldn't understand what they're saying, but basically the interpreter saying, in their language saying, "You could hear that?" She's never heard, 10 years. She's just been kind of isolated. She literally has no eyeballs, by the way, okay? So there's no opportunity to see. Who else is on that nonprofit board? And I didn't join it for any other reason except we heard a story and we were just like charming. And we're like, we got to get involved in this. Who else is on that board? Physicians and surgeons and dentists. So now you've got these celebrity Beverly Hills dentists and surgeons and physicians, and this audiologist in the valley, me, right? So I'm on their medical board. I'm not a physician, but I'm there with dentists and physicians. I was showing, maybe I was showing Ashley the page the other night. All those physicians know who we are now. So anybody who needs anything related to hearing, they're going to think of us. The last one I'll talk about is Alapio. You've probably seen my post about that. It's the Association of Los Angeles Physicians in LA or something. I can't remember. Sorry. I'm a great board member. The idea is that provide free health care and hearing aids to low-income people in Southern California. We added the hearing aids because guess who? Jane and I are involved. I'm on their board as well. I'm on their executive board. And of course, they do big surgeries. They did like a big kidney replacement or something recently. I was like, that's a big surgery. Again, who's on that board? Physicians. It's all physicians. I got a text message on Wednesday from one of the board members saying, hey, can I come to you for my hearing aid? I was like, yes, you can. We'll be back on Monday. So he's going to call Monday, make an appointment. How great is that? So philanthropy. You give with no expectations, and the karma comes back. So this is a great way to indirectly grow your business. So far, so good? Okay. The last one's my favorite, and I keep talking about it. You've heard terms which are not, they're correct as well. You've heard physician marketing, you've heard physician referrals. I like to talk about physician relationships. If I have a patient who says, I need help, I'm in, let me pick on somebody. I'm in Colorado, south of Denver. I know Bill. I have a relationship with Bill. Or if they're in Houston, I know Ellie. Or Michigan, I know Becky. Am I going to Google no, I already know them. And I know they're damn good at what they do. Because I have a relationship, automatically, I'm going to send them those patients. Now think about physicians. If they know who you are and they've interacted with you, don't you think they would just refer their patients to you? When I talked to my dad's friends, okay, when I first started in this career, none of them, when I asked, would you go to our offices to see what we do? None of them said, no, why would I ever go to your office? They work many, many hours. What do you think they want to do when they're done seeing patients? Go home to their families. Remember, come on guys, work-life balance. They don't want to hang out with us. They want to go home to their families. So if you're thinking that, okay, I'm going to go out this next year in 2021 and I'm going to bring these packets of information with a bunch of white papers and research studies about all this stuff about hearing decline, cognitive decline, which is great stuff, don't get me wrong, they're not going to read it. Now, some of them will, okay? I'm not saying everybody. But you send them more information, it's just like me looking at those 1-hour videos. I'm going to table that for a little bit. And then next thing you know, it's under about 50 charts, and then they're never going to see it. I go into a physician's office with a small stack of business cards, and what else? My smile. Big smile. Okay? I don't take anything else. I don't even take our brochures. I don't take anything else. My approach to my way of doing physician relationship building is really doing some homework before I get there. Have you looked up your physician's bios on their websites? If you're planning on going to see Dr. Smith and she has a bio on her website and it says, here's her name, here's where she went to school, here's her specialty, what's the last paragraph? Personal stuff. What are your interests? Her interests are golfing is one of the interests. Well, I used to like golfing. Guess what? My nonprofit has a golf tournament in 6 months. I'm going to pay for her ticket and invite her to come with her friends. That's an experience. So when I finally get back there and I talk to her, I'm not going to tell her, hey, I saw you like golf. No, I'm going to approach it a little different. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to say, hey, thanks for taking the time. We have patients that are always looking for new physicians, and we always hear great things about you. What kind of patients are you looking for? How can we help you? If somebody's going to help you, what is the instinctive answer from that person? Well, how can I help you? if you have patients who have tinnitus or hearing loss, just send them over, we'll take care of them. And just so you know, we'll definitely send everything back to you, send you a short report, whatever you want. But let's get back to you. Make it about them. How special do you feel when someone's sitting there just talking about you and things that you would like? It's so powerful. So if you approach it that way, and you're a go-giver, okay, instead of you're giving, you're not taking, the whole dynamic changes. And at the very end, you can say, hey, by the way, I'm on this nonprofit, we're actually throwing a golf tournament. Do you like golfing? What's her answer? Oh, I love golfing. Oh, how did I know that? Because I did my homework. I did something which is it's one of my favorite things that I've ever done for physicians. I had the opportunity to rent out a suite at the Portland Trail Blazers, which is our basketball team up in Portland, at one of their games. It was a Tuesday night game. They were playing the San Antonio Spurs, which they were a very good team back then. But it was a Tuesday night, so the suite was a little bit less expensive. And I did my homework. I went to my pool of physicians that I wanted to talk to. And I wanted to see which one of them liked basketball. And there were a bunch. It was all in their bios. I went to each of them. And I knew the suite could only hold 22 people, minus me and Charmy, so that's 20. But I also didn't want it to be so jam-packed in there. So if you've never been in a suite, it's like a living room with a little kitchenette and or a bar and a bathroom, and then there's 2 rows of seats, and you're kind of halfway up in the stadium. So if somebody really wanted to just go to watch the game, they just go sit in those chairs. Okay? Not as close as Kim Ortega watching a Lakers game, cut out in the audience recently, but you're there. So I went through, did the same exact thing I just told you about. Small stack of business cards, went in, hey, do you like basketball? Actually, I have tickets to the suite, like next month. It's on a Tuesday night. Would you be interested? It's a suite. Everything's covered. I'm not there to sell anything. I just want to go there, network, kind of chat with them. Of course, full disclosure, I did have a little bag in the back before they left. Had business cards, maybe a little brochure back then, but I wouldn't do that now. But the idea is that during the first half, they were all watching the game. At halftime, Charmy and I recognized that they were asking us a bunch of questions about our clinic and what do we do. So some of you know me. I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity to do a very fast ed seminar. We literally closed the glass to the game. And of course, halftime in basketball, there's a bunch of stuff going on very loud. We closed the glass. I stood up on a chair like what you guys are sitting on, and I stood up there and I did a very quick 10-minute ed seminar. I was like, guys, how many of you actually send your patients out for hearing testing? Everyone raised their hand. I'm like, where are you guys sending them? Yeah, because they don't. Yeah, they don't. Back then, I had the statistics. I don't remember them now. There are statistics on how many physicians refer out for hearing testing. It's very low. It's a very low percentage. The second half of the game, not one physician in that group, not one, went back to watch the game. We opened the glass up. Some of their family members came. We invited their family. We wanted them to have a good time. So the 2 or 3 kids were there. None of them went back because all we did is we sat there and we were just chatting. I didn't even know the game ended. The game had ended, and the only reason we knew that is because we came out to look, and a couple of the kids had come in and were like, oh, the game ended. They were so engaged, and they enjoyed the experience so much. The next morning, when I got to the office, we had up to close to 10 faxes of referrals from those physicians from the night before. They'd never sent us a patient before. Within a week, we had paid for the suite. Within the year, we made more revenue from those because we tracked, as some of you do, we track our marketing endeavors. We made more from those referrals than some of you make in a year in gross revenue in your clinics. That's how impactful that can be. The relationship and the experiences are so much better than here's a bunch of stuff, read it, send your patients to me. That doesn't work as well anymore. Relationship building right now is very difficult, so you can host webinars. So I'm actually doing a cochlear implant webinar, October 17th, and I invited the UCLA implant surgeon, and he's going to talk on Zoom, a virtual talk to a bunch of physicians. And I'm going to introduce him. It's a CME credit for physicians. Cochlear implants, if any of them think of cochlear implants, Jane and I have just joined the Cochlear Network. They're here, by the way. If you want to join, go talk to them. It's another revenue generator. And guess what? They're all going to remember that talk about hearing and hearing loss. Because, of course, when I do my intro, I'm going to be a little bit selfish, and I'm going to say a couple things about hearing loss so that they all hear it and they'll remember it. And then they're going to sit there for an hour listening to Dr. Ishiyama talk about cochlear implants. So it's still, you can still do it. Okay? Sorry, no other slides on that. So I went over these 5 things: SMART goals, video content, work-life balance, philanthropy, physician relationship building. I started making these slides back in March, and then I thought, there are so many other ways that I wanted to give you a little AudBoss bonus. So expanding your services. Some of us have been in our 4-wall so focused on testing and fitting hearing aids. What about tinnitus? You heard our close friend Emily talk for an hour yesterday about tinnitus. What if you incorporate some tinnitus in your practice? You heard her process. She does an audio eval on every patient just so you get that baseline. That's revenue. Incorporate tinnitus if you can. You have to be passionate about it as well, okay? Which leads me to vestibular. Do as I say, not as I do, because I'm not a vestibular specialist. It's not my focus. I just, whatever reason, I just don't enjoy it. But there are people who have done very, very well. I know, I'm sorry, I keep name dropping, but Craig Casper in New York, he's got a successful vestibular practice and hearing. And his vestibular practice, when he's out, physicians refer to him, they also know to refer for hearing. So if you're interested in vestibular, there are models that make it very profitable. Very profitable. So consider that as well. You guys heard Cognitive here yesterday. How many people here are interested in Cognitive now? Oh yeah, I hope everybody raises their hand, because the reality, guys, cognition and our brain is related to hearing. We can't focus so much on the ears. We've got to focus on what's between our ears too. So the idea is cognitive screenings. We just started doing it, and it's the numbers, those little dials are kind of fun to watch. But the reality is that's what's going to get you into the neurologist's office. I've never reached out to neurologists, and now we just sent a letter. Actually, we're crossing our fingers. Our staff have been busy while we're here. They're folding envelopes and sending letters out about cognitive screenings and what we're doing and why it's important. April and I we worked very hard to make sure that the folks that we allowed to be part of AudBoss, not only you guys, we love you guys, but the sponsors who we also love, we handpicked them because we knew each one of them provided value for what we are doing on a day-to-day basis. We literally declined sponsors because we didn't feel they were on the same page as what we are on. If you get a chance, talk to Dan. He's the developer of Dry and Store. If you haven't met Dan, stand up for a second. I've known Dan since 2001. Out of everybody in this room, I've known him longer than anybody else. Ear Tech, okay? So the idea, guys, is we actually went out, reached out, and last year, those that were here, your repeat offender stickers, some of you that were here last year, we only had, 4, 5 sponsors last year? 5, and we have 30 this year. Everybody knows what we're doing. Get it today at lunch, guys, please. We're going to do lunch very quickly, and then we're going to get into the exhibit hall, learn what they're offering. They're all they're here to help you guys. Take advantage of their deals, take advantage of what they're offering, get involved. Database mining, we've been talking about forever, right? So database mining, really diving into your database, but now you have all these other tools that you can throw in to emailing your patients. You got cognitive screenings. I literally worked with cognitive because I had a patient, a 60-year-old guy, attorney, and while I was doing this fitting, he's like, what am I doing here? I was like, what's going on here? So I talked to his wife. She's like, yeah, I think he's early onset dementia. I was like, oh, there's a company. Let me contact. So we got the box. I did the test. He's all yellow and reds. And he got a case the other day. The wife had to call the other attorney saying, no, he can't practice anymore. He's done. But his is all yellows and reds. So we've got hearing aids. We're going to do what Al's done and try to see a comparison in a couple months and see what he's doing. And then finally, online reviews. How many of you do get a ton of positive online reviews? How many get negative online reviews? I'm sorry about that one. I can't remove it. Yeah. The idea, guys, is we get patients, you guys too, okay? I'm not telling you guys any magic here. Online reviews, we get patients to come in and tell us, I went somewhere else, but then I saw your online reviews. Sounds like you guys know what you're doing. I'm like, heck yeah, we know what we're doing, because we're the best. And all those patients are usually pretty happy. So really focus on your online reviews. One of our other sponsors, I'm sure some of the other folks here are doing as well, but there are companies that are here and online that can help you with that. So this is, you know how to contact me. We can just move on from here. But I took off the TikTok logo because I don't want you to see that. That was a joke. Pause for applause. No, okay. The idea here, guys, is everything I went over today. If you have any questions about any of this, or if you want to learn how to do better videos, reach out to any of us. Those that raised their hands earlier about SMART goals. I was going to have you guys write out SMART goals, but I knew it was going to take too much time. So SMARTEAR goals, excuse me, just screwing up my own talk. The idea here is that if you have questions about it, this is the best time, one-on-one, reach out to any of us that have been doing it. And I can speak for myself at least. I'm more than happy to help because I want to see you guys grow. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for paying attention.